So today we're going to be continuing our series called Everybody Has a Story, where different people in my life, friends, family, come forward and tell you guys about something that they struggled with in life in hopes that they can relate to one of you guys that might be going through the exact same thing. And even if you're not, it's still sort of a great story and lesson to gain from them. And today you're going to be hearing from my cousin Dave, and not only is he such a hilarious human being, but he's also a really brave one, and I feel like you guys will learn a lot from his story because he's been through some serious pain and struggles in his life, and he reached a point where he didn't even want to keep going because he was too overwhelmed. It got to be so much for him, but he was able to turn around that mindset, and he's in a much better place now, and I would love for him to share his story of how he got into his better mindset. And yes, he's still going through so much, but he's a way more positive person now than he was before. So his story is really amazing. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. He actually has a YouTube channel that he just started. I'm gonna link it down below in the description. It's called Daved and Confused, and I think you guys will love his content. If you want to head over there and subscribe and send him some V Team love, that would mean the world to me. Maybe after you watch this video, you can head over to his channel and sort of comment and tell him what you thought of this video. So yeah, without any further ado, here is my cousin Dave's amazing story.
So I was born in 1987, August, and back then things were a little different when it comes to medical and everything like that. They don't do all the tests that they do on babies now when they're first born to kind of see how things are working. So around the age of 2, my mom started to notice that I had darker urine in my diaper. So she took me to the hospital, and they kept thinking it was an infection, and they kept saying give him this and that and it will go away. And about 6 months later, it was still happening, and the doctors actually at that point in time did what they call a biopsy, which is a small needle that takes a little bit of whatever organ or whatever they're trying to take of so they can test it. And they did that with my kidneys, and they found out at that point in time that I had kidney disease. Everything changed at that point. Everything is affected by your kidneys, your hearing, your eyesight, your skin, everything. And that's when I think my mom had really decided that she was going to make our home as healthy for me as possible. I was diagnosed with asthma shortly after that. I was diagnosed with a peanut allergy around that same time as well. So things just kind of kept coming out of everywhere, and it was all about trying to make my home as safe as possible for me. My mom took every precaution about exactly what I ate, all these medications that I had to take, and being so young, having to take 10 to 15 pills twice a day, asthma inhalers, injections. It's not easy to explain to a child why you have to do all these things, because I just didn't get it. I constantly had doctor's appointments during school hours. I'd have to leave school, go down to Toronto to Sick Kids Hospital, have tests done, and it never really occurred to me why I was different from everybody else, why this was happening to me. All I knew is this is something I had to do. There were a lot of things that my friends were doing that I couldn't do. You know, I had a lot of friends playing hockey. I couldn't play hockey because they were worried that I would get hurt, and I couldn't heal properly because of my kidney disease. I made up my mind really early that I was going to be the funny guy and try to put humor into everything that I could. And that's kind of a double-edged sword because people always tend to think that you're happy and nothing's wrong, but sometimes everything's wrong and nothing's going your way, and at least that's how it feels. So when I was around 12, I started to lose my hearing due to my kidney disease. And that hit me really hard because music was such a huge part of my life at that point. And I was worried that I was going to go completely deaf and that music was not going to be part of who I was anymore. So I never really gave up on the music. In fact, I just kind of switched from guitar to bass guitar just so I can almost feel the music over hearing it. And I stuck with that for a long time. Growing up, I was really lucky that I had the friends that I did that were really supportive of me and really understanding of all my medical issues. And they were so great about it. And my family was so amazing about it. And I remember Halloween when I was a kid, and you'd go out and, you know, you get all this candy, and like 75% of the candy I couldn't eat because I was allergic to peanuts. As I got older and I went through high school, I started to notice that I was getting sick a lot, and I was always constantly tired. I'd have almost like morning sickness, and it was getting worse and worse. And I was missing a lot of work, and I was missing a lot of school. I always knew, even from a young kid, that eventually I would need a kidney transplant. And it just became real, really real when I was, 16, 17. Like, this is happening sooner than you think it's gonna happen. And I remember going to college at 18 and not being able to go to my classes or do my work because I was so sick. I remember my mom worked just down the road from the college, and I remember being so sick and just walking to my mom's car and getting the keys from her and just sleeping in the car until she was done work because I couldn't go to school. And eventually I had to drop out because I couldn't focus. All I could focus on was just trying to feel better. I tried to work as much as I could, because I kind of always had this thing in my head where as long as I have a job, as long as I continue to work, I'm not that sick. I can still go to work. I can still do what I have to do. I was definitely in denial because I was getting sicker and sicker and more tired, and I was missing really important things. By the age of 21, I had to have a transplant, and my mom was my kidney donor, and the transplant was successful. Everything was great. I was feeling better for the first time and I don't even know how long. I got up, like my body would just tell me to get up at 6:37 in the morning instead of 11 or 12. I remember thinking like, I'm invincible. Like this is insane. Like I've never felt this good. I started to take on more physical activities and sports and everything was great. And then 1 year later, when I was 22, my kidney failed. And I just remember the feeling of everything just crashing around me. And I remember the doctor saying, after I had spent 3 weeks in the hospital, that he was gonna put me on chemo to try to restart everything, restart my whole system. I was on chemo for about 2 weeks, almost every day. And I remember the nurses coming in almost like a hazmat suit and this IV bag that looked like neon yellow. And I'm thinking like, you're in a hazmat suit and you're putting that inside my body. Like, I don't see how that's gonna make me better. It was terrifying. After spending 6 weeks at St. Mike's Hospital, I was let go and I was put in Aurelia Hospital for another 2 weeks. And I remember thinking that entire time, like, I don't know what my life is gonna be when I get out of here. I had to start dialysis, and my first session of dialysis, I had an elderly gentleman also on dialysis pass away right in front of me. And that was my first dialysis experience. Like, this happens. And I was just so scared about what my life was gonna be like, what I'm now capable of, all the things that I'm not gonna be able to do. And on top of that, I was really worried about who's gonna wanna be with me now that I have this huge issue in my life. Like, who's gonna wanna date someone that's on dialysis? Who's gonna wanna be with somebody? And I remember reading things about, like, when you're on dialysis, it's really hard for you to have a child. And when you're on dialysis, you're gonna feel sick a lot. And I had this tube in my chest that they would hook up to the machine, and I constantly had this tube sticking out of my chest, and I was so embarrassed of it. Like, I would wear 3 shirts sometimes just so you wouldn't see the dent of this tube on me. And it felt like every 6 months I had a surgery, whether it be dialysis related or something else, kidney related. And I remember at one point in time I had about 150 staples just holding me together, and I was on pain medication that would like block out parts of my day that I didn't even remember. And I remember craving this medication even when I didn't need it. Like, my body just craved it. That's how powerful it was. And that really scared me that I was gonna be on this forever, and that I was never gonna not hurt or not be in pain. And I remember just being so depressed about it that I just didn't want to be here anymore. And I just didn't feel like this life was worth living. Like, if you're not gonna be happy, why are you here? Why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? So eventually something clicked in my head that I didn't want to live like this anymore. And I would have to push myself harder than I've ever pushed myself. And I would have to accept the things I can't do and find things that I could do and that I wanted to do, and I wanted to be good at them. And so I took music really seriously at that point, and I was playing my bass guitar in any band that would take me, and I was recording music, and I met somebody that accepted me through everything that I had going on, and she pushed me when no one else would. And no matter what I said, she didn't take that as like an answer. She's like, no, you need to do this because you know you have to do this and you need to better yourself, and so whether you like it or not, you're doing it. And she's really scary, but I guess I needed that. Yeah, she became my rock, and eventually she became my wife. She always pushed me to get better, and every day she still pushes me to get better. And then I started a YouTube channel and creating videos and writing dumb sketches with my friends, and I was just having such a blast with it. And almost like I forgot about these things in my life that I hated. And I learned essentially that you can't change some things in your life. Like dialysis, you can't change that you're on dialysis. Sometimes you just have to accept what you can't change and use it to your benefit. When I started doing YouTube, I bought a laptop and I do all my editing and writing while I'm at dialysis because I'm gonna be there anyway, right? So instead of having a nap or sleeping, I actually do something productive with my time. A miracle happened and my wife got pregnant and I had my son named Dominic. Again, my life changed completely in a day, and he is the most amazing person I've ever met. I don't have a reason to get out of bed in the morning because of those two people in my life. If there's anything that I've learned through this journey of this roller coaster of up and down all over the place about where life is going to take you, the biggest lesson I've learned is surround yourself with people that push you in the right direction. Your friends and your family. My mom never gave up on me. My dad always pushed me. My best friends were always there for me. Whenever I was in the hospital, they visited me and brought me food I wasn't supposed to eat, but I was so hungry. They brought me video games and comic books, you know. My wife always pushes me to be better every day, and she's my rock. And my son, I see so much of my goofy self in him, and I love it when he's around, and I love that he's in my life now. So that's my story, and now I'm here in Jessii Vee's house in this super old chair, telling you this and hoping that I brought something to your day. So thank you.
Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know that I was sitting in the room with Dave when he was telling this story and I was like tearing up, I was getting super emotional, but his story is very impacting, and I really hope he was able to reach out to a lot of you guys who are going through the same thing, whether you're going through dialysis or maybe another type of sickness. It's always good to stay positive, to surround yourself with people who will support you, and just know that things do get better, because you guys know I've been through Lyme disease. I'm still dealing with Lyme disease, and it was so easy for me to kind of curl up in bed and try to stay away from the world. But once I sort of put a positive outlook on my life, things got better. Like once things get better emotionally, I feel like even physically you start to feel stronger. So keep that in mind. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I just hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and until next time, bye guys!